3 days until the sequester, and Homeland Security is getting ready by releasing some people from its jails. I'm Dwayne Brown. The story tonight on KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Peggy Pico. Just ahead, how San Diego's military defense industry is bracing for massive federal funding cuts set to take place in just 3 days. Then our personal conversation with a San Diego scientist surprised with a $3 million prize for his breakthrough work.
Our beautiful beaches sometimes have an ugly problem, contaminated water. Tonight we'll tell you about a plan to identify the problem faster than ever before. And hard work pays off for a San Diego teenager who was homeless not so long ago. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
Only Congress has the power to pass a law that stops these damaging cuts and replaces them with smart savings and tax reform. And the second I get that bill on my desk, I will sign it into law. But I've got to get Congress to pass it.
We have moved a bill in the House twice. We should not have to move a third bill before the Senate gets off their ass and begins to do something.
3 days until automatic federal spending cuts take effect, and partisan finger-pointing, as you see, continues in Washington. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. President Obama went to a shipyard in Newport News, Virginia, to repeat his call for tax increases and targeted spending cuts to avoid sequestration, and to criticize Republicans who don't want to compromise. House Speaker John Boehner reiterated the GOP position: no more tax increases. He criticized the president for traveling to make a speech instead of staying in Washington to make a deal. While the debate continues, Homeland Security is getting ready for the cuts by releasing illegal immigrants held in detention across the country. The agency says they are being placed in a more cost-effective supervised release program and still face deportation proceedings. Jailing an immigrant costs about $164 a day, while the cost for supervised release is about $14 a day. Sequestration means a cut of roughly 8% for military defense programs. A Pentagon official says it means a lot of uncertainty for our allies and says, quote, the standoff is stupid.
This is a ridiculous way to run a budget show in Washington. And we've been shouting that from the rooftops for a very long time.
Cuts to defense would have a serious effect in San Diego. Peggy Pico has a closer look at those impacts.
Barring an unlikely last-minute deal between Congress and the White House, sequestration, the term used for automatic across-the-board federal funding cuts, will begin this Friday. One of the many programs facing abrupt funding cuts is the military and defense industry. Frank Hewitt of San Diego's chapter of the National Defense Industrial Association and Larry Blumberg with the San Diego Military Advisory Council join me with details on who will be affected most by these cuts. Thank you both for being here. Frank, a new report suggests that about 1 in 4 jobs in San Diego depend on military or defense funding. Give us a few examples of what type of companies specifically and what kind of jobs are we looking at?
Sure. In the defense industry, it's across the board. So all the way from the large companies like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, SAIC, to some of the smaller companies, the whole spectrum. So Booz Allen Hamilton. It's a tremendous number of companies that are located here in San Diego, principally because we provide support in the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command here and SPAWAR Systems Center on Point Loma.
And one of them specifically, the shipyard workers. That's a huge, right?
Well, the ship repair industry.
Repair industry,
yeah,
correct.
Yeah, on the waterfront, and they're going to get hit by two things: the continuing resolution and the sequester. And we estimate that if the Navy is forced to cancel their availabilities, their maintenance availabilities here starting in the third and fourth quarter, that as many as 4,000 workers could lose their jobs in the ship repair industry.
And we're going to come back to that double-edged sword
Sure.
of getting those cuts. But I did want to ask you, Larry, first, the strategic part of the military's new Asian Pacific focus. San Diego is a part of that. Does that mean that the military, enlisted or military programs, let's say in the Navy, aren't really going to be affected much by the sequestration?
Well, military personnel accounts are all exempt from the sequester. So we won't see, sailors and Marines will get their paychecks, and the medical benefits and all that will stay intact.
Okay, well, I want to let viewers know about this state-by-state list of sequester impacts the White House sent out, and this is by state. California will see $54 million cut from Army base operations. 64,000 civilian defense workers will be forced into furloughs, and Air Force operations will be cut by $15 million. This is specifically for sequestration. In San Diego, Larry, you were talking about what that means to civilian workers here.
Well, there are 25,000 Department of Defense civil servants in San Diego. That's counted in that 64,000. So we'll get hit pretty hard here in the civil service category.
Yeah, I have the George Mason study from last July on the impacts of sequestration, and I have the 10 states listed. California is number one in the impact, and of course the 25% makes the San Diego region tremendously large, but the DOD cuts, these are job losses by this study, are about 135,000 in the state of California. The non-DOD cuts are 90,000 in the state of California, making us the largest state impacted, with Virginia being number 2.
So these are a lot of people who will lose their job. There won't be funding for them. Let's talk about, Larry, veteran services and benefits. Is there going to be impact from sequestration?
No. The Veterans Administration is exempt. Now, there's some talk that like tuition assistance and things that peripherally affect veterans, but not VA at all.
No direct benefits.
No direct.
We have a large population here, but Frank, this is sort of a double-edged sword or a double hammer to budget cuts here, because Congress had already, or the Department of Defense had already, back in 2011, said that there were going to be budget cuts. Tell us the difference.
Well, the DOD has been in the process of reducing their budgets because of the imposed is not the right word, but they were working to reduce by $487 billion already over 10 years. So the sequestration's on top of that, and the continuing resolution, of course, impacts the contractors, because if we have no authority to be contracted for, we can go to zero and if there's no continuing resolution resolved, and that has to be resolved by the 27th of March. So this is a double-edged sword that can impact us in all kinds of ways that make the entire industry very uncertain.
And very long term. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I want to let people know that they can find more on our continuing coverage of sequestration online at KPBS.org, including the impact on the military and defense industry. Thank you both so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peggy. Happy to be here.
A new report says San Diego is getting more revenues than expected and should have a surplus of more than $3 million. The report goes to a city budget committee tomorrow. It includes some recommendations for using the surplus. Among them, more than $1 million to replace police equipment, $500,000 for a traffic management plan in Balboa Park, and $300,000 to keep San Diego's emergency homeless shelter open through June. The report also recommends leaving $300,000 to be applied to the budget for the next fiscal year. San Diego Hospice says it's broke and can't pay for medical supplies or staff, which could put patient care in jeopardy. The declaration was made in court earlier this week. KPBS Investigations producer Joanne Farian has been following this story. San Diego Hospice, Joanne, filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy a few weeks ago, then announced they're shutting down. Now they say they're out of money. What's going on?
Well, it comes down to fewer patients, less money from Medicare. But probably the most critical moment in the hospice's financial demise came last October when Medicare stopped paying them for 2 weeks. As you mentioned, the hospice has been the subject of a 2-year federal investigation, which is one of the reasons Medicare stopped the payments.
And why are they actually being investigated?
Well, Medicare is looking at whether all the patients they admitted into hospice were actually eligible. Did they have a terminal illness with less than 6 months to live?
Now, if they can't buy medical supplies or make payroll, what happens to the patients they still have?
Well, the organization is asking the court to let them borrow $5 million from Scripps Health to get them through this tough time. Scripps has offered to buy San Diego Hospice's Hillcrest building for more than $10 million, again, to help them pay some of their bills. San Diego Hospice's chief operating officer, in court documents filed yesterday, emphasized how serious the situation is. He said he was worried about patients and that if they didn't get the loan, quote, the patient will have less than quality care. Now, we have more online about this story at kpbs.org/end-of-life.
KPBS investigations producer Joanne Farian. San Diego County will start testing a faster way to measure water quality at our beaches. KPBS business and environment reporter Eric Anderson says a faster test means better information for swimmers and surfers.
Water quality testing is pretty standard in San Diego County. San Diego Coastkeepers Travis Pritchard routinely uses the same test that county officials use to check for pollution.
You mix it with a solution that's yellow in color. After incubation, if there are E. coli bacteria in any of these cells, the cells will turn from yellow to a purple color, and you'll get something that looks like this.
Testers can then use an ultraviolet light to get a more specific measurement of the contaminants.
Right, so the problem with this is because you're culturing out live bacteria. You need them to grow before you can measure them. And it takes 24 hours, sometimes up to 48 hours.
And time is really the issue. People who monitor ocean water quality want to be able to tell swimmers if the water is dirty, not whether it was dirty a couple of days ago. County supervisors agreed to work with a new federally approved DNA test that works in 2 to 4 hours.
It's good science, but it's also good business.
Greg Cox says a faster test means the county will have better information for swimmers and surfers.
So our goal is to open up the beaches as quickly as we can once we're able to verify that they're safe for the public to go in. This newer testing will allow us to do that in 4 hours as opposed to waiting up to 48 hours to get the current lab test results.
The county agreed to spend $59,000 to test the new method. If results are good, the county will work on changing state rules to permit the faster test. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
The cost of repairs and inspections at the San Onofre have now jumped to more than $400 million. Southern California Edison, the operator, say the scope of repairs for the North County nuclear plant could be more extensive than estimated. San Onofre's been offline for nearly 13 months. Today, Edison's chairman told Wall Street analysts he hopes to have the Unit 2 reactor online by summer, but the utility is making preparations in case it doesn't happen. We've been tracking a rise in housing prices in San Diego. Now, Standard & Poor's says prices went up just over 9% last year. S&P's been monitoring home prices in 20 cities since the year 2000. From then to now, local prices have gone up 64%. California's efforts to reduce its state prison population may be leading to some offenders slipping away from their monitors. Our media partner 10 News reports some offenders are cutting off their GPS ankle bracelets. Without them, law enforcement can't keep track of the offenders. State Senator Ted Lieu says there are 1,000 offenders across the state who have cut off their bracelets. If they're caught, the penalty is 6 months in county jail. A new survey finds a majority of Californians support more gun control. 61% told the Phil poll it's more important to control guns and ammunition than to protect the rights of individual gun owners. Women favored gun control more than men. There are more than 30 gun control bills pending in the state legislature. Mexican police say they found a drug cannon used to fire packages of marijuana into California. The improvised cannon uses compressed air to fire packets from Mexicali right over the border fence. The packets carry up to 30 pounds of drugs. U.S. officials say they've been finding a lot of drug packets recently. Some beer drinkers say Anheuser-Busch is watering down its brew. They filed class action suit against the company, saying Budweiser, Michelob, and other Anheuser-Busch brands have less alcohol than what's on the label, 3 to 8% less. The company says the claims are groundless. A San Diego scientist is one of a dozen recipients of a new $3 million prize. Peggy Pico talks with him about his work.
Last week, UCSD Moores Cancer Center researcher and professor of pathology Napoleon Ferrara got a phone call telling him he had won a whole lot of money for a new breakthrough prize in life sciences. Dr. Ferrara, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations. What went through your mind when you got this phone call telling you you had won how much money?
The prize was $3 million for each of the winners. There was a total of 11 winners. I was certainly very, very surprised. First of all, because I never heard about this prize, which is understandable because that was the first time that this prize was given, at least in life science. A similar prize has been given to physics. But I was really stunned by even the magnitude of the prize, which is believed to be the largest, the richest, scientific prize in life sciences.
Tell us about the foundation that awarded you this money and why they did it.
Well, I learned, subsequently about the foundation. Actually, they issued a very nice press release from UCSF on February 20th. Actually, it's probably online, and so people can gather more details. But there are some really giants, some titans in the Silicon Valley, in the tech world, including the founder of Facebook, of Google, as well as the chairman of Apple, which is Dr. Art Levinson. And also there is a Russian investor, Mr. Yuri Milner, who is is the one who instituted the physics prize. So there is a very convergence of very, 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 very insightful and powerful people.
The idea, though, is to maybe perhaps inspire, make science more popular. There's actually a motive behind having it besides rewarding, let's say, these great scientists.
Oh, yeah, yes, there are all of the above. I think the main intent was to make it appear to inspire younger people, to convince them that science is not some kind of tedious, and unrewarding pursuit. If you have success, if you enjoy science, to be successful, you must enjoy it. There could be even some financial rewards.
Let me read what Mark Zuckerberg, who is on the foundation, actually said. He said, quote, "The Breakthrough Awards aim to recognize excellence in research aimed at curing intractable diseases and extending human life." What research are you doing that fit into that category that landed you this prize?
Well, the research I've been working for almost 3 decades on the same topic now, which is blood vessel growth. Which is, of course, not only it's a very fundamental biological question, a physiological question, but as we learn over the many decades, blood vessels play an important role in tumors, and also interestingly in some eye disorders like age-related macular degeneration or the diabetic retinopathy.
And I want people to know there's more than 1 million Americans with macular degeneration. Is that the research you're doing right now?
Yes, actually, but there are interesting. There are 2 different types of macular degeneration. One is called the dry form, and one is the wet or neovascular form. Even though the neovascular form accounts for about 20% of the cases, but it is responsible for over 80% of the cases of blindness. So these blood vessels are very destructive, and so even though there is a relatively fewer patients are affected by the neovascular form, that is the most devastating.
So the research you're doing right now at the Cancer Center could directly impact how macular degeneration is either discovered or treated, or...
Well, I would like to say that I just joined the Cancer Center 2 months ago, about 2 months ago. All this research actually took place when I was a scientist, actually at Genentech, with a biotech company in the
Up in the San Francisco Bay Area.
In the San Francisco Bay Area. Actually began when I was a postdoc at the UCSF in the early 80s, etc. So at Genentech we were able to isolate, to discover a critical factor which regulates blood vessels. And so we've been able to develop antagonists to this factor with 2 different lines of therapeutic applications.
So a lot of different applications.
Cancer and eye diseases.
Okay. What will your research be here at UCSD's Moores Cancer Center? What are you going to be targeting next? Or are you still continuing with the...
I think there is a lot to do in this field. I think it's a wonderful field. The fact that we had some clinical results, because once again the research I did brought to 2 different drugs. One is called Avastin, one is called Lucentis. And we learned a lot about what you can accomplish by blocking angiogenesis, but also we understood the limitation, why some patients respond better than others. And so I think this is one of the line of research I want to pursue here at the UCSD and of course at the Kansas Center, is to try to understand better about this process.
Well, congratulations again, and we will be following your research, and thanks so much for sharing your story of good fortune with us here.
Thank you very much.
I'm Ray Suarez. On the next News Hour, the Supreme Court takes up the collection of DNA evidence and Gloria Steinem on The Makers. That's Tuesday on the PBS News Hour.
Get out the sunscreen. The next few days will feel like summer's coming. Lots of sunshine on the coast with temperatures in the upper 70s. The inland valleys will get into the 80s by Friday. Mountain temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s, 70s and 80s for the desert. Thousands of people in San Diego County are working and going to school, hoping a higher education will pay off in the future. KPBS education reporter Kyla Calvert brings us the story of one such student whose tough road to a degree just got a little easier.
It's 6:30 in the morning, and Jorge Palacios is already rushing. He can't miss the number 7 bus pulling away from the curb at 37th and University in San Diego's Mid-City area. It's only the first of a 3-leg journey he takes to get to class at Southwestern College 4 days a week. The 7 takes him to the trolley stop at C and 12th Streets downtown. The trolley takes him south to Chula Vista, where he catches the crowded express bus to campus. If everything works out just right, the trip can take just 45 minutes. Some days it lasts an hour and a half. Today he has time to stroll, not sprint, to his 8 a.m. math class. Palacios has a clear idea of where he hopes his long commutes are taking him.
Right now I'm trying to get my associates on EMT paramedic. I was thinking about maybe later on pursuing a career in medicine.
And today is one of the easy days. Palacios only has 1 class. Some days he has 2, and a shift to work at Smashburger and Hazard Center, which can be a 2-hour bus and trolley trip away.
And I have to literally run from here to my classroom to the bus station. Sometimes the bus is there, sometimes not. Even though if you check the schedules and everything, it's like it can just change. Then sometimes from 12 to 8, and then get back home. But usually it's like from work from 6 to 11 to closing.
Another long ride home means Palacios often doesn't finish his day until 12:30 or 1 a.m. But if he achieves his goals, it will be in spite of much more than a daunting commute. In 2010, his father passed away, and the stress and grief of his passing eventually tore apart Palacios' relationships with his mother and brother.
That just ended up in me one day just being, I still remember I was on Fairmont Avenue in University with my guitar case, but I filled it up with clothes, and I was like, I wasn't just in the corner, I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now? What should I do? Where do I go?
He was a junior in high school, and he was homeless. He spent that night in a park, and after that relied on friends and teachers for support.
It was 1, 2, 3 days here, another day there. I was living like day by day.
Aside from a stint staying with an aunt, living day to day is how Palacios has spent much of the last 2.5 years. But he says having hope is the only way to weather his situation.
I always have this mentality of it could be worse, and also the situation can improve. So that always keeps me going.
Things are improving. He's now staying with a friend permanently and hopes to save up enough for the first few months' rent in a place of his own. The days of anxiously anticipating when the next bus or trolley might come are also coming to an end. Thanks to San Diego Unified teachers who worked with Palacios while he was a student in the district, he was chosen to get a car through a national program called Recycled Rides. And at the car unveiling a few days later, it's clear his story struck a chord with the technicians and staff who donated time and their own money to get the car ready.
I mean, how could we not do this? I mean, this young man's persevering and just really, pushing past all the barriers, and this one gift will help him.
That's Mike Quinn. He heads community relations for Caliber Collision. He says the company gives away 1 or 2 cars a month through the Recycled Rides program, but the staff often doesn't feel like the car is enough.
There's a lot of associates, a lot of these team members that kicked in money, that reached in their pocket, gave $20 to come up with $1,000 or something like that.
Open that up. There's something in there for you.
Those personal donations added up to gift cards, cash, and a laptop Palacios finds when he opens the car's trunk.
Thank you, guys.
During his first test drive, Palacios seems more impressed by the people than the gifts they've given him.
It's pretty awesome just to meet all these people that were helping me out all out, and I didn't even know how their faces look like.
The car will save him time, which Palacios says he'll use to pick up at least one extra course in coming semesters. That could cut a year or more off his time to an associate's degree. And he says he'll feel safer driving than waiting on the trolley platform at midnight after a closing shift. But he says it means even more to him.
For me, this is more than just a car. It's like a sign saying that I'm doing things right and that I should keep on going.
Now, he'll just be getting there faster. Kyla Calvert, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.